Hey everyone, welcome to MeloSpot Unplugged. I am your host Madaliso Simbe, and today we'll be talking about whether or not radio is still relevant in 2025 for you as an artist. If you are an artist in 2025, should you still care about radio airplay, or is streaming all that matters right now? Radio used to be one of the first and number one discovery tool for music. So if you are an artist and you would want to be discovered by a lot of you listeners from maybe around your country and different regions, you have to take your song to the radio, and people will be able to access your song that way. So we're gonna be diving in and hearing whether or not radio is still something that is relevant, especially in the Zambian setup. Radio used to be, like we said, the number one discovery tool for music. So right now, we are living in a streaming first era where we have platforms like TikTok where there are short form content. We have Boomplay for music streaming. We have Spotify, and we have YouTube that are now shaping the trends. And now we need to now weigh whether or not radio's legacy power versus the modern day relevance of radio right now. Uh, radio uh, Radio used to be the place where DJs and radio hosts had the power to make or break artists. They had the decision to either play your song or not, and this somehow shaped how the industry would see artists, and they would either some would either be gatekeepers or test makers. Radio countdowns and chart shows influenced what people considered as hits. And a hit song will be considered whether whether or not the DJ or the radio hosts have put these on the charts as maybe the top 10, top 100, and that way people will see which ones are hits or not. So many Zambian artists were introduced through radio. So we have a lot of artists out there, even the modern artists, the legends that we see, where most of them were really introduced by radio. So they had to take their music to radio stations, they had to take their work to radio stations for them to be discovered by people, and then that's how they grew their fan base. Even before people had access to platforms like Facebook, TikTok, WhatsApp, and all these other platforms. So this is how they discovered new artists, this is how they discovered hit songs, this is how they discovered good music. They had to take their music to a radio station. Even many Zambian artists had this way to be discovered. So radio wasn't just about music, it was about culture, it was about shared moments, and community listening, because many radio stations had a lot of people out there listening to their music, and it was about the culture. So streaming is now the primary discovery tool for us as people right now, and platforms like TikTok, YouTube often launch global hits before radio pick them up. Before something can go on radio right now, and before something can be adopted on the radio, TikTok and YouTube are the trendsetters right now. So streaming offers people with data and transparency, so artists can track their plays, their demographics, and their earnings. So even when there was you taking your music to the radio station, you taking your music to radio host and all that, you had no power to know how many fans you had out there. You had no power to make money out of that music and everything. The only way probably you would make money was from you getting hired for the show or that kind of thing. Radio didn't have that aspect. So You couldn't track your plays. You couldn't track how in which regions you had the most fans from the demographics. So you didn't have that. So distribution platforms like TuneCore, DistroKid, that now give artists direct access to audiences. They bypass the radio aspect of it, because this now gives you more power to know which people listen to your music more, how much you're earning from your music, how many plays you're getting from your music. So for Zambian creatives, streaming makes it possible to learn to reach uh, diaspora and also global listeners who may never hear local radio stations. So basically, streaming right now gives you access to have access to even a wider audience. People from America, people from Europe, people from the UK are able to listen to your music once you like distribute your music, rather than you being restricted to like a radio station. Maybe that's just in like your your district or your province. So you have more coverage, and um, radio still matters because radio remains accessible, especially where data is expensive. So getting played on also radio feels like official industry recognition, because it still matters. And local radio stations push homeground talent, and it helps you as an artist even as you're coming up. And it also creates loyal fan bases. So if people are able to request your music on the radio station, on the radio and everything, so that gives you a feeling of having loyal fans. And also radio shows still drive attention to things like album launches, concerts, and also tours. And all the listeners who may not use streaming platforms also still rely on listen to their music on radio, especially in places that people don't have access to smartphones and everything. And in many places, airplay can depend on uh, uh, connections and no talent, because these are also one of the limitations of also being on radio. And Gen Zs and millennials consume music on demand. And the other thing is that radio can't provide artists with the same actionable data that streaming platforms do. So you don't have access to much data that you need to utilize as an artist for you to like be able to maybe improve in a certain area also. And radio reach is also often restricted to cities or regions, unlike global streaming, like I mentioned. So uh, that's the case. And also radio often reacts to what's already viral online, and rather than breaking new hits. So like we also mentioned, it's usually the platforms like TikTok and YouTube that often set the trends, and then radio now kind of like picks it up. And then the other thing is that um, the new role of radio in 2025 is that radio has now shifted from being the main driver to like being part of a larger ecosystem. So it's part of the ecosystem of also driving, building fan bases for artists and everything. So it's kind of like it's now joined like the larger ecosystem, being on board with the streaming platforms that we have. And its strength now lies in the local engagement and also for cultural presence. And many stations now stream online, and radio stations are now doubling as podcasts or live streamed events. So that's also something that is now happening, especially in the radio space in 2025. And my advice for musicians is that don't choose radio over streaming. You can use both strategically. So you don't have to always pick one. You can use both. For radio, you can use it for like local engagement, and then streaming if you would want to now grow your craft for the outside world. So you can treat radio as a branding tool, as it boosts your credibility and also being able to increase your visibility out there, and also you being able to target community radios, because they are often open to independent artists, and also making use of things like maybe university radios, because they are also much more open to you as a creative artist and as a young artist. So you can use radio appearances for content recycling. So if you would want to use things like clip interviews, and that you are now also able to now share on Instagram or TikTok, and radio also now creates trust and also helps, and then now streaming builds reach, and social media now also now helps you create a hype. So my final thoughts are that radio isn't dead, it's just changed roles. Think of radio as a spotlight that is able to now help you with validation and reach, while streaming is a marketplace for you to be able to like have access to your data as an artist, and also be able to now help you monetize your craft. So in 2025, the smartest artists are the ones who will know how to balance these both worlds. So that's my thought on whether or not radio is still relevant in 2025 for musicians. See you on the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.